Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be showing you some new products from scrapbook.com. Their 3D embossing folders and also their brand new tilt bin organizers. I believe the tilt bins are available now and the embossing folders will be available very soon. And I do have them all linked in the description box below if you want to check them out. There are 3 different sizes of tilt bins. I'm showing you the largest size first. This is a single bin. The tilt bins all include hardware so you can hang them on your wall. There are also 2 horizontal slots, and I believe this works with the pegboard system. The bins also work on a shelf. You could have them sitting on your desk. On the top, bottom, and sides there are 2 tracks. And if you have a second bin, you can slide it right onto the track to lock the 2 together. And you could expand this quite a bit to fit in your workspace. So if you have a more horizontal space, you could go wider. If you have a more vertical space, you could build them a little taller. I'm always looking for new storage options in my craft room, and the new tilt bins are super cute and very sturdy. The clean white color is very versatile and should match with anybody's craft room. And I love how the bins have a clear front window so you know what's inside. The outside measurement of the large bin is 4.87 by 4.75 by 6 inches. And you can fit quite a bit inside the large bin. I grabbed all my 1-inch mint tape rolls, wanted to see how many would fit in the large bin. I had 12 rolls on hand and I was able to fit all 12 inside the large bin. The inside space of the bin measures 4 inches by 3.5 inches, and then the back height is 4 inches and the front height is 6 inches. So you can see when I'm adding the mint tape, that front row I can stack them flat, and then the back row I have them on the side. I'll grab the other large bin, and inside this one I'm putting some of the metallic cord I have. And it fits perfectly. And there's still more space in this bin. I could add a couple more rolls of twine. I plan on hanging the tilt bins on a wall in my craft room. And most of the products I'll be putting inside the bins would be something that would be tucked away in a drawer. So I'll be more likely to use those items now that I can see them through the clear windows. Here's a look at the medium size tilt bins. It's the 1 piece and it includes 6 bins. Now on all 3 sizes, you can remove those individual bins and they're really easy to put right back in place. So if you have your tilt bins attached to the wall and you just need products that are inside one of the bins, you can simply remove that bin, take it to your workspace, then return it later. In addition to the hanging hardware, each set of bins also includes some labels and a clear label cover. And they simply slide right in front on the top area of the bin. So if you want to label the contents inside the bin, that is an option. You'll add the label piece first and then the cover. So first you'll insert that paper label and it just slides in front. And then on the clear label cover at the bottom there are 2 tabs and those insert into the notches on that front area. If you have it facing the correct direction, it slides right in place. I like the option of having the labels, but with the clear windows, I probably won't be using them. For the medium tilt bin, the outside measurement is 11.75 by 4 inches by 9.75 inches. And then the inside medium bins are 3.25 by 2.8. And then the height of the back is 3 inches and the front is 4.5 inches. And just like the large bin, there are tracks on the top, sides, and bottom. So if you have another set, you can slide them together. You can either go horizontal or vertical. And on the back side, it has the holes to hang, plus those slots for the peg wall. You can see in my second set, I filled it with Doodlebug Designs Doodle Pops. I have a ton of these in my craft room, so I'm gathering them all together and putting them inside the medium tilt bin since they fit perfectly. I found that I could put 12 to 14 inside each bin. So the large tilt bin includes one individual bin, the medium has 6, and the smallest includes 8. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the medium and small. And one thing that's really fun, you can stack the medium and small together on the top. You can't do it on the side, but you can do it on the top. Now, if you're hanging these on the wall, the small will sit back just a little bit further than the medium. And this is the configuration I'm using in my craft room. So 2 medium horizontal and then 2 small horizontal, and I'm putting the small right on top of the medium, and I will show you a picture later on in the video. The outside measurement on the small is 11.75 by 3.25 by 7.75 inches, and the inside space of the small bins is 2.3 inches by 2.25 inches. And then the height in the back is 2.3 inches, and then the front is 3.5 inches. And for more pictures and all the information, be sure to check out the listing on scrapbook.com's website. So inside the small bin, right now I only have a few of the bins filled. I put some more metallic thread, the 1/2 inch mint tape, and also the 1/4 inch mint tape. You can put washi tape in here, embellishments. I think it would be fun to put wax beads. You could add scrapbook.com's pops of color. Ink refill bottles will fit nicely. I'm not showing it, but I did check. Scrapbook.com's luster brush marker refills also fit nicely in the small bins. And just like the other 2 sizes, the small tilt bins include the hanging hardware, the labels, and the clear label covers. And just like the other 2 sizes, you can also remove the individual bins, and they're super easy to put back in place. So there's a look at scrapbook.com's brand new tilt bins. They have a small, medium, and large set, and these are available now, and I will have links in the description box below. After attaching the 2 small and 2 medium together, I place them on a shelf in my craft room, and then the 2 large bin, I stack them vertically, and I do have them attached to the wall. But they're sitting right next to the small and medium. And I have them filled with all kinds of fun crafty goodies. And in the medium bins, I completely filled them with Doodle Pops because that's how many I have in my craft room. The other new products I wanted to show are scrapbook.com's 3D embossing folders. There are 6 designs. They're not available yet, but they are coming very soon, and they are in the coming soon section on scrapbook.com's website. I'll also have links for them in the description box below. Here's a look at the 6 fun designs. There's polka dots, quilted stars, quilted daisies, ethereal. The last 2, I don't have the packaging. This one is whimsical wood grain. You can never have too many wood grain designs. And then the last embossing folder is called Little Boxes. The embossing folders are a nice large size, 5.5 by 8.5 inches. And since they are 3D embossing folders, they have an even deeper embossed detail. I'll be sharing 6 cards with you using all 6 of the new embossing folders, and I'll make one of them here with you now. I used the Whimsical wood grain embossing folder on some craft cardstock. And to help show that beautiful wood grain texture, I'm using the cinnamon ink pad from scrapbook.com and just gently wiping it over the top. I'm doing this on my blush pink magnetic glass mat from Glassboard Studio, and this is available at scrapbook.com. I have the 18 by 24 inch size. Super easy to clean. Got a little bit of brown ink on the mat. I'll just spray it with water and then wipe it clean and dry with the pink cleanup cloth. This panel is A2 size, so 4¼ inches by 5½ inches, and I'll be adding it on an A2 size card base. For adhesive, I'm using Scrapbook.com's Deluxe Adhesive Roller, and I'll also put some glue along the outside edge. Whenever I used an embossed piece, I like to add a little extra adhesive just to make sure it stays in place. Now I'll add my card front onto a card base, and I'm lining it up along the fold of the card base. I will place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight, and I'll let that sit for a few minutes. The other main products I'll be using for this card are Scrapbook.com's Sunny Lane Floral Dies. For a sentiment, I have Just a Note, stamps, and coordinating dies. And the colored cardstock is from Scrapbook.com's Sunshine Smooth Paper Pad. I've already stamped and cut out the sentiment plus the other die cut pieces. I'll be adding a lovely pinkish red flower, and I did cut out 2 of the flower layers so I could have lots of petals. I will be adding just a little bit of ink along the outside tips of the petals. I'm using Catherine Pooler's Rouge ink color, and to hold the ink pad in place while I'm ink blending, I'm using Glassboard Studios Mag Ink Tray. It's not the exact size for the oval ink pad, but it does work nicely. There's a magnet on the bottom, so you just lay it on top of the magnetic glass mat, and then I don't need to hold the ink pad while I'm ink blending. I like to wipe off some of the ink on the mat first. That way, if I've recently re-inked the ink pad, I don't get it too juicy and ruin the die cut. And then I'll go back and grab more of that ink while I continue ink blending. I have just a few more petals to add that little bit of ink on the ends. I'll remove the ink pad, place the flowers in the stack and sort tray. I need to clean up my magnetic glass mat. I'll simply spray it with water, then wipe it clean and dry with a crafty cleanup cloth. I'll also add a little bit of color to the ends of the 4 leaves. This time I'm using Catherine Pooler's Martini ink color. I cut out 2 different types of leaves. And for the foliage pieces, I use some of the holographic mirror paper from Scrapbook.com. I'll wipe off a little bit of the ink first on my craft mat, then add just a tiny bit on the ends of the 4 leaves. And as I finish each leaf, I'll add it in the small stack and sort tray. Here's my final leaf. And I love how the ink really brings out some of that embossed detail on the leaves. I'll put away the ink pad and the mag ink tray, clean up my craft mat, then I'll start assembling the flower. I just love the look of the embossed wood grain background. And the die cut machine I use is Spellbinder's Platinum 6 machine. They have their universal plate system, and one of the sandwiches listed is perfect for the 3D embossing folders. Before gluing the 2 petal layers together, on that top layer, I'm using my fingers and curling up the ends of the petals. It gives the flower more of a dimensional look. Then I'll put glue just behind the very center of the top petal layer and adhere it to that background one. And I'm offsetting it, trying to get a very full petal look. For the center of the flower, I have 2 different pieces. One looks like a small orange flower, and then the circle, I use some of the yellow cardstock. Before adhering the center piece down, I am adding a small scrap piece of cardstock underneath the orange layer. It's fairly thick cardstock, so it will add a little bit of a dimensional look. I will pop up the flower using some foam squares. I grab the small foam squares in the 1mm thickness from Scrapbook.com. I'll add 4 of them on the back, just behind the very center of the flower. I'll remove the release paper and add the flower on the center of a white stitch circle die cut. Next, I'll add the 4 green leaves and 5 silver holographic foliage pieces. Behind the leaves at the very end, I am popping them up with another foam square. I did tear off the stem of the 4 leaves. It won't be visible, and it's easier to tuck underneath the flower if I don't have that stem piece. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, then put glue behind the rest of the leaf. I'll put 2 leaves on the right side of the flower and the other 2 leaves on the left side. And the 2 right leaves will be a little bit higher than the 2 leaves on the left side. To help make sure the end of the leaves and foliage pieces are nicely adhered underneath the flower, I am using the end of my tweezers and pressing down in that area. It's a little easier to get underneath the flower with my tweezers versus my finger. So once I have all 4 leaves down, now I'll add the super sparkly foliage pieces. I'm putting 3 on the right side and then 2 on the left side. And just like with the leaves, I did tear off the stem of the foliage pieces. And for this longer vine-looking piece, I did tear off about 3 rows of those bottom leaves. I have just 1 more foliage piece to put on the left side, lifting up those petals so I could tuck it underneath. So there's my little flower assortment all assembled, and I'll be adding the sentiment, just a note. The ink color I use for the sentiment is the same one I use for the ends of the flower petals, Catherine Pooler's Rouge ink color. Now I'll put glue on the back of the circle and adhere it on the background. And I'll be adding the sentiment underneath the circle on the right side. The left side of the sentiment will sit on the bottom of the circle. So before adhering it down, I'll add a scrap piece of cardstock behind the sentiment, but just on the right side where it goes off of the circle. I put glue on the back, but then I changed my mind, decided I would pop it up with foam. So I'll wipe away the glue with my finger. The foam I'm using is Scrapbook.com's 1/4 inch foam roll in the 1 millimeter thickness. I recently used up my last foam roll, but luckily I always keep an extra 1 or 2 on hand. I cut this strip just a little bit too short, so I'll cut just a teeny tiny piece to put at the very end of the sentiment. I'll remove the release paper and add the sentiment underneath the flower on the right side. And before pressing firmly on the sentiment, I'll make sure it's on nice and straight. So there is my finished card using the Whimsical wood grain 3D embossing folder from Scrapbook.com. And here's a look at the card I made using the new Quilted Daisies 3D embossing folder. The stamps and dies I use for this card are from the Bright Celebration set, except for the bow, that's from the Rabbit die set. This next card I used the Quilted Stars 3D embossing folder. The sentiment die is Grow with the Flow from Scrapbook.com. Next is my very first Christmas card for this year. I used the Little Boxes 3D embossing folder. And the stamp and most of the dies are from the Bright Holiday set. This fun sailboat card, I used the Polka Dots embossing folder. And the sentiment and images are RUB-ONS from the Coastal Charm set. My last card features the Ethereal embossing folder, and I do have a process video for this card. It's on Scrapbook.com's channel. So there's a look at the 6 new 3D embossing folders that are coming very soon to Scrapbook.com. I love the fun designs, and embossing is an easy way to add beautiful texture and detail to your card or project. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. And if they're not available yet, they are coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.